Hey.
What's up, dog?
What is up?
Are you emptied?
Empty? Yes, I am.
Fully squeeged?
I'm the fastest shit in the West, man. Can get it done in like 2 minutes. I'm out.
Oh, man, I got a fucking... I'm going to have hemorrhoids in my 50s, dude. I'm like a fucking half hour at least. Oh, speaking of motivators, here comes the Stone Wizard.
He's going to come on with his butt spread.
Vile. Origin of the feces.
I'll do that to you guys.
Oh, shit.
Oh!
He's dressed for the part, man.
How dare you speak thusly of Dr. Crypticus, medical deviant. How you fellas doing? How you doing?
Doing
Good.
It's
I just pooped.
Congratulations.
After my shower. You know how we love that.
I had to clean everything out. I can't do it after a shower, man. I work up a sweat. Fucking.
Well, I'm obviously, I sweat all the time, bro. So, like, if it's raining outside, which it is,
yeah, it's over. Yeah.
Sweating.
I don't mean my lighting to be this crazy atmospheric here. Hold on, let me.
I'm always curious about like the reflections going across your wall. I'm thinking like, I wonder if this is a window on the world, or what would be more in character for you is like some sort of ambient lighting device that like that replicates like some sort of light pattern that you found in a horror movie somewhere.
I'm just trying to replicate that. What is it? The metaphor of the cave.
Oh God,
Yeah,
we're not Platonists in here, man. We don't fuck with Plato on the Symposium of Sickness
I live
podcast.
in that. This is how I view the world. Just what's on the back wall. That's how I judge everything.
You gotta get some more shit on there, man.
No,
that's the thing about Plato that a lot of people don't realize is that Plato never once in his life heard or played a riff. So there's no fucking reason that anybody should give a shit about him.
Well, then why are we even talking about it?
Plato was,
I don't know. We can move on.
Good. Plato was delicious.
Plato was delicious. It was like a salt substitute for kids who weren't getting enough iodine in their diet. You're like, just let them eat that shit. That shit's fucking good.
The paste eaters, too.
What did we talk about last time? Fucking Gak. And now we're talking about Plato.
Yeah, we're talking about fucking Gak.
Interesting. Talked about
masturbating with Gak.
Yeah, that's part of Trevor's Fifi setup. None of which.
Oh, right.
Dude, I've been playing the shit out of Peeling Flesh since we talked about it.
Doesn't that shit rule?
Been checking out Peeling Flesh. It's awesome. I love how it's raw. It's not like overproduced like a lot of the new stuff is,
but it still sounds really good though.
Yeah, it sounds huge. It's great.
Yeah, it is good.
I'm still kind of stuck on Rune Magic since our Rune Magic excursion, like the purple moon one or whatever.
Oh, I'm surprised how much that one has struck a chord for you.
Dude, that first song especially, man, it's fucking crushing, dude.
A big epic. There's a lot of epics on that one.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's been a lot of black metal crap. Wolf Tower's new tape is awesome. It's Finnish black metal. Negative Plane has a new album coming out called The Pact, which is awesome. I've been playing that too.
Hath, the new Hath album, all that was promised. This is probably going to be my number one pick of 2022.
Dude, they're awesome, man.
But like, yes, they really are, man. And like, it's just another thing about it. Hath is one of those examples of bands that I feel like I've become a bigger fan of because I follow them on social media. Frank especially. Like, Frank is he's hilarious. We had him on the Lips and Wrists podcast a long time ago. Just a really fucking cool guy. Super laid back, like you said, genuinely funny as fuck. That guy's one of the best shit posters in the game. Then the dude turns around and drops this fucking just incredibly emotionally intense, musically accomplished record. And I thought the first Hath record was amazing, and I still do, of Rot and Ruin. But the new one has just, I've been unable to stop listening to it.
That Beelzebub, the new one?
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I was going to say, that will ping your ass into oblivion, dude.
I love those
guys.
It's
sick, though. Sequestrum, have you guys heard that?
No.
I don't think so.
Epitome of Putridity. Check it out.
Love the name.
Yeah, it's definitely
filthy.
That's a death metal record.
Yeah, it's filthy.
I got one that I want to recommend to you, Trevor, which you will love this album if you haven't heard it already. Open Casket, Annihilation Summoning. They're from
I saw you posting about it, but I don't have any intel about them.
It's so raw and old school. The cover art doesn't match what it sounds like at all. It's full of fucking riffs. It's one of those you can tell was not recorded to a click. in the best way possible.
Good. That's how I like it.
Yeah.
The mix is really raw in a super awesome old school way. It I don't know. It kind of has like the atmosphere of like an old Mystifier album or something, but it's really super
Nice.
death metal, thrashy death metal. Reminded me kind of like the early Sepultura shit when they had that other singer. You know, that kind of bestial South American death metal.
This Gutricide.
I
You
love
guys have
that.
heard
I bought
that
that
shit?
too. Yeah, I bought that too.
Trevor, have you heard Gutricide?
Great stuff.
I'm not sure, man.
Dude, this
The
shit's
riffs.
fucking sick, man. The riffs are super catchy. It's heavy as hell. It's ignorant as fuck. It's just another. It's more Texas death metal, man.
Nice.
Corpse Gristle doesn't step outside the reissue game too often, but when he does, man, he nails it. This shit. And then the other one that I'm listening to, boys, I'll be the mainstream guy in the crew.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, you're way into those dudes,
Dude,
Yeah.
I love Meshuggah so
Shuggy.
much. I love
Shuggy.
Meshuggah. I love the Shuggy so much, man.
I love
ever
this.
since my childhood.
They would give me anxiety. It's not
What?
music that I can. It's anxiety riddled music. Are you kidding me?
Interesting. So, like, you can't listen to it? It fucks with you?
Well, no. I mean, I can listen to it, but it's like I think maybe it's as a musician, I'm listening to it, trying to take it apart. So it's
Yeah.
very hard for me to. I can't
No,
really
you
enjoy
can't do
it.
that, man.
I'm like,
You
oh,
just gotta
that's
sit
so. How
back
did they
and-
do that? Their music is so mathematical that my
Yeah.
brain is constantly trying to latch on to the formula.
Just latch onto the hi-hat, baby. If a dumbass like me can do it, you can. That's all you gotta
Interesting.
fucking follow. If you want to
Okay.
fucking bob your head in a Meshuggah song, you gotta wait for that hi-hat.
You guys heard that new Weeping?
No.
I don't think so.
That's good
Sound
too.
familiar.
Weeping's good, man.
What about old shit? Either of you guys rediscovering, falling back into any old shit recently? I am.
Of course you are. What have
Yeah.
you been?
Ministry. Dude, I've been
yeah.
listening to so much fucking Ministry. When I was
I've
running, I listened to
been-
NWO on repeat the entire time that I ran
Dude,
for an hour.
I've been on Ministry for the last couple of years. Pretty hardcore, man.
Dude, I
They got
fucking,
really metal there in the last couple of albums. There's a couple that sound just straight like Slayer albums, the ones that Tommy
Yeah,
plays
the-
on. You know?
the George W. Bush
Yeah.
trilogy. Like that's
Yeah,
just
that shit is
it's
like-
3 thrash records, man. Like
totally.
that's- It's all
And-
thrash riffs.
I think that's all Tommy Victor from Prong playing on all of them, isn't he? Or is he just on a couple of them?
I think he's on a couple of. I think
Dude from
Rigor Mortis.
that
yeah, Rigor
Dallas
Mortis.
band. Yeah, Rigor Mortis. Yeah.
You heard that surgical
Shitload of
meth
them.
machine?
Yeah, dude, that's fucking crazy. Like
I
that's
love
like,
that.
isn't that
Yeah.
like grindcore almost?
Yeah,
In
it's
places?
basically like a more extreme version of what he does.
Basic, yeah. You could put Surgical Meth Machine songs into a Ministry playlist and be just fine. But I feel like you can probably do that with a lot of stuff too. You can do it with a lot of Revolting Cops.
Yeah, but what happens when With Sympathy pops up on that playlist?
yeah,
That's my favorite Ministry.
I
album.
love that. I love
I
Early
like-
80s one.
I like With Sympathy. I like that fucking Halloween song. I think is
Oh,
fucking
God, yeah.
awesome. Like that shit rules. This is all. This is
Holy shit.
the Ministry tracks box, right?
Wax
So
tracks box.
Wax
Yeah.
tracks.
This is a lot of super duper old Ministry, and then also it is the entire recorded output, which for some of these is saying a lot and some of them it's not. It's got the first 3 Revolting Cox albums in it. It's got all the Palehead shit, all the
The
PTP shit.
Palehead was him with Ian
Ian
MacKay,
MacKay.
right?
Yeah.
Sick.
And then 1,000 Homo DJs,
DJs.
which was just like 2 songs, I think.
Right.
And then Acid Horse.
I think NWO was probably the first thing I heard.
Dude, NW, Psalm 69.
Psalms. Yeah.
Dude, that song, like, that shit is fucking incredible. God damn it, I love that record, man. I love Ministry so much. I actually haven't heard the new Crowbar, man. And I worshipped that band for the longest time.
I played Sonic Excess the other day when I was not having a good day, and that definitely hit home.
Yeah, dude, it's fucking, that record is intense. Seeing fucking Lasting Dose live was like a religious experience.
Oh, dude, that song
shit
fucking
was spiritual.
like a stab in the heart.
Yeah,
I mean,
that song, Empty Room, is another one that's just like fucking, man.
Fucking planets collide, bro.
Now that record, that's the one. Fucking Oddfellows Rest, like that shit.
I was
Yeah.
I
watching
can
that
do
fat
it.
guy scream.
I
I,
can do
love
a
it.
pretty good Kirk sometimes. He's
Oh, I
like,
bet you can, man.
He's-
that dude feels man's pain. Like, I don't mean to be
does,
like
dude.
sexist or anything, but
No, I hear you.
That's man's pain right there.
The thing about Kirk is that he's cursed, right? He's cursed with continuously like expelling these incredible riffs from his body, but he can't enjoy them. He has to play them, but they're chained to his sorrow. And that's just the way it is. Like, there's nothing that he can do about it. The thing, like, with Crowbar now, like the last Crowbar record, I was just like, these are all, like, all these songs, the vulnerability and sort of, like, the, I don't know, the self-destructive shit, the tough guy shit about them that I used to love so much, like, it's all been replaced by, like, this old guy who's, like, giving you a pep talk. Like, that's what all the Crowbar songs sound like to me now. He's like, I've been there too, brother.
He's sober now.
He needs to just start having a really hard time again. Like, for me, for my benefit, because I need those, we'll call them conflict riffs, because he's constantly in misery and agony. Like, I need more of that for him, so I can enjoy the art that he subsequently creates with it.
Man, he's not even fat anymore. See, that's the thing. I miss when it was a bunch of fat guys. I miss when Todd Strange was in the band. That dude was huge. I like fat metal. I love it.
My argument, are you ready? Is that Kirk was never fat. Hear me out. Look at the picture of them shirtless in Sonic XS. You can see abs.
Oh, yeah.
You can see Kirk's abs. That's not a fat guy. That's a brick shithouse.
Got that low bandwidth, baby. I keep seeing the thing about it.
I got all my shit turned off, so this is the best I got.
Yeah, it's in the year of our Lord 2022. We're still struggling with fucking internet and shit.
Well, I am in a basement and I'm on wireless, and I'm like, I don't know how many people are stealing my internet. Yeah, who the fuck knows what's going on? But
future
anyway.
was still supposed to be better than this.
Yes, it was, wasn't it? God damn it! Yes,
it was. But the past is great too. So let's take a little trip back in time, shall we, boys? Today, on this particular episode of Symposium of Sickness, we are going to be discussing a legendary, but once again, somewhat flying under the radar death metal band. One of my favorite bands. I'm pretty sure I'm speaking for both the other guys too when I say that they love them very much. We are talking about a group called Impaled. Reaching for my shit right here. Gotta get my shit. Get your shit out.
All right, bro.
Gotta get my shit.
Oh shit! Of course your pile's bigger.
Impaled, fellas.
Never heard of them.
Never heard of them before.
Fill me in.
Here's the thing. I think that a lot of people might not have heard of Impaled, but might be familiar with who their members are from other projects. When I say a lot of people, obviously I'm talking about like sort of the younger crowd, not but the thing is, like, I also run into people closer to our age bracket who also are only like cursorily familiar with Impaled, which to me is one of those things where I think to myself, like, how could you miss this? How could you miss this over the years? But then you look back at it and you can see that they did kind of, like, their label history is a little bit patchy.
Dude,
like
that's where the problem is, man.
Yeah,
Death Vomit is long gone, disappeared.
Best record is on Death Vomit, and it's out of
Necropolis.
Yeah, Necropolis.
This one.
Let's see. I can't remember who did the Hemorrhage split initially.
I want to say Razorback.
Yeah, it was Razorback. It was Razorback. Yeah. I have I have a reissue from Splatter Zombie Records, and this you can get actually at any.
That just came out. Yeah.
Any Brutal Death distro. Yeah, it's been out for like I think a year maybe.
Bonus tracks, dude.
No, there's no bonus tracks.
It's just the split.
Yeah, it's just the split between
Dementia Rex.
Yes, Dementia Rex. I am Dementia Rex. The madmen are my servants. I love the spoken word parts on Impaled albums, and I'm sure that we're gonna get to that.
Oh, for sure.
If you skip the little fucking skits and intros, you're not a fucking Impaled fan.
Yeah, no, they're different for this band. Yeah, for sure.
Dude, it's all about just Sean and Ross, man. Like their connection, their friendship comes across. You know,
there's even a gag reel. There's the final track on, I think it's the Choice Cuts compilation, is just outtakes from them doing the I am a scientist. Like, it's fucking hilarious, dude. And that is one of the things that I think that you can clearly see with the band is just how much fun they're having, right? Like, not only is it present in sort of their, I feel like of all of the sort of carcass worship bands, I feel like Impaled, and a lot of people probably disagree with me on this, but I feel like Impaled best embody like the humor and like the commitment to the gag. You know what I mean? With the way that they dress, with the artwork, with the lyrics.
Black humor, man.
Yes.
Monty Python of gore metal.
Yeah, you can say that. I can see that.
They take the English kind of comedy to like the next level, like the dryness and kind of like, those guys are fucking hilarious.
It's morose, man. So like, when did you guys get into Impaled?
For me, it was just one look at the first record, dude. I was at the record store, I saw it, and like, you know, I figured immediately that it was somehow like connected with Exhumed. It just had the same look, like the gore. And, you know what I mean?
It looked like the cover of Gore Metal. Like it looked like that was. It looked like they fucking went into another room in the house. Like the Exhumed album, like the cover is in the kitchen, and then Dead Shall Dead Remain is like they took the camera and went into the bathroom.
And like the same way that I grabbed Gore Metal off the shelf, not knowing what the fuck it was just automatic. I was like, all right,
I'll take it.
I'm going home.
I forgot that Exhumed came out first.
First glimpse of Exhumed I remember was like the Hemdale split. In the name of gore, it had like the, you know,
just like a fucking close up of just guts. There's like nothing ever. You're like, I'm not sure what part of guts I'm looking at here.
That was in every scene. You'd see that ad.
I'm sure. For sure, dude. I remember that in Grimoire, like on every other page, it seemed like.
Yeah, totally.
Like Death Kids and the Hemdale Exhumed split.
Yeah, the Death Kids is going to be its own episode, guys.
Well,
we'll get to
I got to get caught up, I guess. You can't really talk about Impaled without talking about Exhumed because there's so much shared DNA there, which sounds gross and it's probably accurate.
It's quite a Venn diagram, though. It's like totally, they overlap so much.
I feel like where Exhumed, if you look at Exhumed sort of on the whole, right, I feel like they're closest to like necroticism era Carcass. I feel like Impaled, on the other hand, is somewhere between necroticism and Heartwork. Impaled definitely has like a lot of that older, grimy or nastier shit, and they have some songs. Like I've been a fan of the band for a really long time, but I found a couple of things that I hadn't heard before, like last year or the year before with two releases that I ended up getting. And we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But even though Impaled has so much like gore grind, fucking straight ahead death metal shit, when they really start leaning into the melodic stuff, I feel like is when they really sort of stand out. And I also feel like they got to that evolution in their sound way earlier than Exhumed did. I don't think Exhumed was really playing around with any melody until Anatomy is Destiny. But like, if you look back at Dead Shall Dead Remain, like that's there's melodic death metal all over. Okay, so doing my little homework that I like to do for the bands that we talk about, and this is really just something that I do with my time anyway, which says a lot about me and how I choose to spend my time. What I have found is that Impaled's old website, impaled.info, is perfectly preserved.
Oh, great.
It still exists. The bio is from 2007. The most recent post, the newest news that they've got, the newest update, I think is from 2014, January 15th, 2014, and it was when they announced the release of the re-recorded version of Dead Still Dead Remain, which they called Dead Still Dead Remain, coming out on Willowtip. But I thought that this was really kind of an interesting preservation of a lot of the stuff that I remember about Impaled. At that time, I just remember being so obsessed with the imagery and so into, like, I had really gotten into, like, posting on message boards and stuff and sort of communicating with other people that way. The Impaled forums are still there and still working. Now, they are not active. The last post was in 2013. It was on 4/20/2013. It was on a Raise the Stakes tab post by Jason Copel.
Oh, sweet.
Until today, when I signed up for the forum, and I just posted like a fucking old school noob shit post. Hello. Let's see if we'll see if I get any bites. I have a feeling I'll
be a bunch of Russian bots
like 2027 before anybody looks at that again. But I thought that was pretty tight. I thought it's very old school. Like when you run your cursor, over the page, it turns into a little hypodermic needle. It's a little syringe. In the shop link that they have here, it is still active. The only thing that they have is one small shirt.
You're going to order it, aren't you?
I'd given it some thought.
You're going to order it and then get mad.
Yeah.
This is the wrong size.
You click on PayPal checkout. You know what? I'm doing it right now. I'm going to order this motherfucker right now.
Son of a bitch. You psychopath.
Maybe I'll get like a fucking message from Leon on Instagram or something being like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Send you a shirt with a nut on it.
Purchase completed $13.75. That's with shipping, fellas. So like it's going all the way back. This is a $12 t-shirt.
Yeah, they're gonna lose money on the shirt.
Yeah, I know. It's gonna they're getting notifications right now like, what the fuck is this from? Who is this?
Is this even accepting PayPal? Or is it just like a GeoCity site?
It's before PayPal.
Shop.
You can only trade like mule feed and stuff.
When you click on it, it links you directly to PayPal. Actually,
man, that shit changed my life because
I know.
We all use it now just to buy death metal. Day and night.
Exactly,
it's just death metal money going through PayPal.
Anytime, like 9 times out of 10, if I go to an online storefront and there's no PayPal option, I'm just like, nah, I'm out.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
there's definitely some times where I'll be like, I'm not typing all that.
Yeah, it's just, and it's sketchy sometimes too, man. Like,
yeah.
I feel like if you're not able to work with PayPal at this point, like
it says something.
Yeah, you've probably fucked up somewhere along the way. I just don't. I've had my information stolen.
Oh shit!
It's been like 10 years. It's been like 10 years now. Somebody bought a surfboard at a store in California. The weirdest charge was like an 85-cent charge to the Red Cross of New Zealand. I shit you not. It was just like the most random, bizarre. Anyway,
you know they're using your money for good.
Yeah, I know, right?
Better than you would have.
Like spend it on death metal instead of less than $1 worth of healthcare for somebody in New Zealand. It seems like belts are getting pretty tight in Russia right now, man, with all the sanctions and everything. Inherited Suffering, the dude who runs Inherited Suffering, I saw him selling like that one Abominable Putridity single that they put out a couple of years ago when Matty Way was back in the band for a minute. The song ended up getting re-recorded. He put that up and like a handful of other things that are just like super rare that he's asking like $200+ for and shit like that. So I hate it for them, man.
It's still able to transact money through his website and shit?
Yeah, apparently you can still, I don't know exactly how it works. I think PayPal still, well, no, I don't know if you can't use PayPal or not, but you can do something. That's
what I'm curious about. I haven't even tried, since all this horseshit started.
Yeah.
But I feel bad for, so many musicians we love are stuck in the middle of this horseshit, that have nothing to do.
Yeah, because they got a stupid fucking government that's doing
I wonder what that feels like.
Impaled.
That's why everyone comes here, folks, for our fine political commentary. Because we're such keen minds, politically speaking.
So what's your history with the band, Patrick?
Well, this is a question I have to bring up to both of you. How much ghoul kayfabe are we going to break here if we're going to talk about this?
None.
I think everybody knows now. Like it's right here on the fucking Metal Archives. Just
I think
that and Impaled's like on the back burner now.
They know, but I also Impaled's super on the back burner. But I still feel like.
But I'm talking about ghoul, though.
I know. I don't know. I don't think we should go there.
The very first time I saw Impaled, I think they were with Incantation and Decapitated, maybe.
That's actually in their 2007 bio.
Right. And I think maybe Vehemence was on the show. Anyway, I went up to Impaled's table and they were selling a ghoul shirt, and I was like, ah!
You saw Clark Kent with his glasses off first.
I did.
Like, son of a.
Well, they only had 2 shirts. They had a fucking Impaled shirt and a ghoul shirt. Like, what do you want?
Oh man, really? So they were like, we're borrowing this. We're selling this merch on consignment for these guys.
We found this.
Yeah, we've met them once or twice, but.
Yeah, I remember like chatting them up at the table for a second and showing them my Carcass tattoo. Dude, Mondo Medical, man. I think the biggest reason they've kind of like fallen off the radar is like that record's not readily available anywhere.
Yeah.
Actually,
it is.
It's a classic, dude.
It is
so good.
Mondo Medical is definitely my favorite. It's got Raise the Stakes is one of my favorite fucking death metal songs. Favorite death metal riffs of all.
So many powerful like choruses and hooks. So many like killer puns.
Yeah, it's super. It's super duper sing-songy. Yeah, and like you're right. It's still my copy is Death Vomit. I think that's the only one.
I got Necropolis and Death Vomit. I got.
Yeah, Death Vomit was like
they're both
offshoot.
It's the same shit.
You know, obviously Ross has been asked a million times whether or not there's going to get a re-release for any of the old Impaled stuff. That's hard to find. And I think he said there's just no way to make it work. I don't know what that means.
I want to say Matt Harvey was like doing A&R for Death Vomit or
yeah, I heard something like that too.
I wouldn't doubt it. I'm sure like all those guys know each other. All those guys are in close proximity to each other.
A song on this album, Rest in Feces, was explained to me is about Necropolis, and when you read the lyrics, it's blatantly about the label mismanaging shit and fucking shit up. They openly talk about it, but use the metaphor of a real necropolis.
Oh yeah, here it is. I'm looking at it.
This idiot who's running this necropolis, and he's mismanaging the bodies, and read it knowing that they're talking about the label, and it's hilarious. But apparently they might still have beef because of that. That might be why that album is not available.
That's just crazy to me, man.
I'm pretty sure like Death Vomit is holding their whole catalog hostage, basically. Like the first Eon EP.
Oh shit! Oh right on.
Yeah, like it's not
Eon. Did something on Eon, like
Yeah.
The first thing was it
Dark
was a
Order.
EP.
I did not know that. No shit.
That's my favorite.
We haven't done the Aeon episode, but
we will.
Yeah, boy, that's a lot for me. They're a big band for me, but yeah. Wow, you got to check that out, Schuler. Yeah, that's a great little EP.
I mean, obviously I'm familiar with the band, but I've probably heard the EP too. I just wasn't aware that it was on Death Vomit.
It's their Sawdust, that little.
I like that. That's a good comparison there. Yeah. Sawdust is a nice yardstick. So everything from the EP was harvested and used later.
I'm not sure about that. I just mean. I don't know.
It's the elusive badass.
They did one song over again.
At least one. Yeah.
Eternal Hate, I think.
But that was another one that came out right at the height of black metal, and it was just like death metal as fuck and just so deicide-y and shit. At the time I was really into that and Infest Dead. Like I was really loving that deicide kind of revival style of Luciferion and all that shit. So good.
It's not just Impaled that got their catalog like held hostage, anything that's been out, I think, on Death Vomit is basically like paralyzed in time.
I wonder.
Wow, still
there's like a Circle of Dead Children record.
Circle of Dead Children. They also made the leap to Willow Tip, I guess. Impaled made the leap to Willow Tip.
It's another band we should do at some point.
The Death Vomit to Willow Tip pipeline.
Right.
That's an episode all in itself. There was a time when Impaled was at the top of the nasties list.
I remember like them kind of ramping that up, like being like, this release is banned in 56 countries. And like, that's bullshit. You know what I mean? Kind of hype it up like you're cruising the shelves at the video store back in the day.
Yeah, that was really cool. I loved that kind of tie-in to the video nasty, but as Goregrind. Yeah, that was awesome.
They have their cover art, I think, rules. I think all of it's just so over the top. It really is a lot like, Exhumed. That first Exhumed record was in Slaughter Cult too. Also had some
that's right,
movie gore on the cover of it as well.
Which confused me at first because I kind of, when I saw Impaled at first, it was kind of a thing without knowing anything. Like, wait, are these guys trying to ape those guys, or is there a beef going on? And it turned out there was a beef going on at the time, which is of course now squashed.
Yeah, which is good. Like that. Yes. The
Goregrind Alliance has been reforged, and
it has. And there's
us all.
They're playing shows. They played a show not too long ago.
When they play now, they do the first record with Leon singing just freestanding, dude.
Yeah.
Like as the frontman, and he's so fucking hilarious. He's such a great frontman. Like, I don't know why they don't just like go full time like that. Like,
that's what I'm curious about too. I'm curious about why they don't
It's like Autopsy and Abscess. Like you realize which one is like people are after.
Yeah.
And want to see and want to hear from, and kind of go for that. And you know, it seems like Ghoul has success, you know, some level.
It's interesting to me that the Impaled never had that, because obviously they have a different image. Like, they're not fucking wearing burlap sacks and masks and fucking covered in blood and shit like that.
But they had an image. That's
what I'm saying. Yeah, they had like the doctor's thing going. They had the fucking masks. They had the
communist thing.
The communist thing was exhumed, right? Necrocracy.
No, I'm
both
talking
bands.
Yeah, both did. Yeah, Impaled.
Right, yeah.
Exhumed did Necrocracy, and Impaled did The Last Gasp.
That's right.
Both of which have sort of traditional, like, communist-looking imagery.
I thought both versions that they did of that kind of theme was brilliant.
In conversation about Impaled, it seems like, you know, obviously Mondo Medical is a classic. And I think Death After Life is one that a lot of people sort of got turned on to the band with because it was on Century Media, and so they got a lot of eyes on them that they probably hadn't had before. But, like, The Last Gasp is a good record, and it just seems to kind of get left out of the conversation. The next to last track on there, Dawn of the Dread, is one of my very favorite Impaled tracks. It's so into the pocket, where the writing and everything, like, they know it works. They know how to fucking keep things lean. They know how to keep things super catchy. There's all these super memorable melodies on there. You look at a record that's that good, and you have to wonder, like, I know that they've got more. Like, why do we not have more Impaled right now?
Well, because it all getting funneled into Exhumed now, as well.
Yeah.
Ross is now reforged his alliance with with Matt. And
he's the only one that's been in both, right?
Oh, gee.
I think Leon was an Exhumed at one point, like way back.
Who the fuck knows at this point? I'm sure there's been like weird drummers here or there.
So how do we get the rights to Mondo Medical? We got to like assassinate a certain person? Or
that's what I'm curious about. Like, I wonder if maybe it's just a question of diplomacy. Like, how old do you think that they were when whatever happened? Like 19? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so they write this, you know, years later, Impaled writes this song about this shitty fucking label, and the dude on the label kicks him off or whatever. We're probably still talking about pretty young. Maybe at this point, all of the people involved have reached a place where they're like, you know what, let's talk about it. Let's see if maybe we can figure out some way to undo this. Or we can kill them. I wish I would have dove a little deeper into that aspect of things before we got on.
I don't know if that's chronicled anywhere, you know, except deep in some forums, you know, and
yeah, I'll trawl some forums, man. I love going through old shit like that and looking at fucking that was Impaled. I remember I didn't post on the Impaled forum back in the day, but I do remember like talking about Impaled specifically on MIRC. Were either of you guys on IRC?
No,
no. The drummer in BDM was on IRC. He was like the most internet inclined of us all.
Yeah, that was where, like, back in my little fucking shithole hometown, a lot of the stuff that I ended up getting into that wasn't given to me by friends or the guys who were older than me that I was hanging out with, I found on MIRC. Going back and looking at this forum from the Impaled glory days, and then thinking about sort of the way that bands and releases and other shit like that proliferated over the old peer-to-peer file sharing programs, like, dude, that shit absolutely changed the game.
So I'm still downloading, bro. I'm still out here doing the same shit I always have. Cruising the blogs. Fucking, I'm like one of the last few thousand people on SoulSeek. like, if you give me a way to hear this music, I'm going to take it. Like, there's no, you know what I mean?
Modern tape trading. It
really has been. This is how I figured everything out. Like, as soon as I got a cable modem, dude, it just opened the history book of fucking death metal for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And unlike corporate music, death metal welcomes this kind of spreading. You know, just like hip hop. You know,
because like the labels, you know, like so many great and classic releases, like did not get their dues. You know, until like this slow trickle down through the internet, and you know, the internet opened me up to a lot more death metal that wasn't US based.
Yeah,
exactly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Like, you know, I was very much like Floridian and Broken Hope and all that stuff is like my early death metal records. But like the internet helped me, you know, discover these kind of like these Euro classics that maybe aren't as easy to find or weren't for a while.
Yeah,
you know?
For sure. Yeah, I was on Audio Galaxy a lot. I was on SoulSeek too, but Audio Galaxy was a thing for a while. It was really good for metal at the time. And I remember it was one of the first ones where people would actually, like, you can download the album with the cover art and it's all in a folder labeled where there were different ones where it's like you would just get willy-nilly files and you'd have to relabel them yourself, and you didn't know what album it was from and shit. It was a mess for a while. I'm sure Trevor remembers all this. I discovered Ghoul first, and it was through Audio Galaxy. That's what I'm saying. So I don't know if I want to break any kayfabe here, but let's just say I discovered Ghoul, and that led me to like the Razorback bands, which was the whole label was worshiping Goregrind. And at the time, that was something that was so unique and awesome that, oh my God, this is exactly what I love. And this entire label just devote, Machitazo,
that was so
Gruesome
good.
Stuff Relish,
Machitazo,
all that
Blood
stuff.
Freak,
so good, so good. All of it. And I
played some Blood Freak on the show a couple of days ago. Actually. I love that show.
Yeah. Which stuff? They got quite a few albums. Like they got new stuff, right?
It's from the most recent one. I think it's called Total Destruction of the Human Form. Is the one that I played.
That I've heard.
Yeah, I don't think I've even heard that one.
It is
the last one I checked.
Total Destruction of the Human Form came out in 2017. The only two of theirs that I own are that one and Mindscraper. And Mindscraper.
Yeah, I think Mindscraper was the last one.
Mindscraper's crazy.
Mindscraper rules. I'm a big Lord Gore fan too. I played Lord Gore.
Yeah, same, dude, same.
Just a bunch of bands that Maniac Neil's no longer in. I just made
cult classic.
Took a slate there. Yeah, absolutely.
With the anime Gore covers.
Yeah, dude, I don't really know how I feel about PC Lord Gore. I mean, they're not exactly PC since they've come back, but it's a lot different than it was.
Yeah, I feel like it's definitely cleaner, but at the same time, I feel like the songs are more developed. I think that
right, it's a bit more musical.
Scalpels for Blind Surgeons, is that the record you're talking about? Yeah, the most recent.
I haven't heard that at all. I don't know.
Dude, it's good.
It's voice, man. What?
He was Gurge, right? Was that his name?
Yeah, Gurge, man.
Yeah, he was always somebody that people talked about his vocals in hushed tones.
Gurge and Scuzzy, they had great names.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so what I'm saying is, I discovered all these. It was kind of this little mini Goregrind revival that was happening in the early aughts, and I was so excited about that. And I'd already been into Exhumed, but at the time, I didn't really like the early Exhumed albums because they were kind of really nasty and raw sounding in a way I didn't like. I actually love modern Exhumed, like since their reform. I think everything they do now is fucking amazing. But at the time, they were a little too raw for me, and I couldn't appreciate it. So that when Impaled came out, I was like, oh, this is right how I like it.
Yeah.
This is right how I like it. And I was heavily into Gruesome Stuff Relish, Ghoul. I really loved that Ghoul was simultaneously worshiping Megadeth and Carcass.
Yeah.
And I was really into General Surgery. I was really into just all the medical stuff.
Yeah, same, man. I would go. I would look for anything like that basically for a while. I was
all the medical shit. County medical examiners.
County medical examiners.
Those guys took that joke to the furthest level possible.
But it's still cool, man. Like,
I mean, it was just they aped Carcass to such a degree that I honestly can't believe there weren't lawsuits and stuff. But I mean, just the theme of their band, them being real doctors and shit, was so hilarious.
With we've talked about this before, but with the early Exhumed stuff, they re-recorded their first full-length gore metal in 2015.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Oh, dude,
cover art and shit. Yeah,
dude, really it sounded fucking amazing.
I really liked that. Yeah,
gore metal was so, like you were saying, it was so like the ideas were there.
You couldn't hear the fucking riffs. Like the first time.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying about it. Yeah,
that reissue, the re-recording, the Necrospective, gore metal and Necrospective. I was like, dude, I've been listening to these songs for 20 years and I don't fucking know them. Like, it's crazy. And Impaled also re-recorded their first full length. Dead Still Dead Remain. I think it came out in 2013 on Willow Tip. How do we feel about that one, man?
I got to listen to it more, but I liked it.
I liked it too, dude.
I think it sounds great. Yeah. It sounds so much like the original shit, but beefier, like on steroids. Like I think it sounds so much better, and it's also a lot easier to find.
Yeah. Oh, it's fucking impossible to find.
One of my over the years, I whenever I get a chance to try and go through and fill in some of the gaps in my collection, I try and take it. And seeing an actual first pressing or like original or real pressing of Dead Shall Dead Remain in the States, it's hard to come by. Like, I always run like the US filter on Discogs first. Like, I want to make sure that if it's available in the country, I order it that way, because there's a whole lot less, space to fuck up the mail that way.
Exactly.
You are not going to find one of these coming available in the States very often. I don't have a copy of it, and it sucks because I did. That's one of those ones that so by 2008, I had hawked my entire collection of music specifically for dope, right? So, and what that meant was going to places where, pawn shop guys were just like, I'll give you 50 cents for all
50 cents for
200 of these CDs. There was this motherfucker at this one pawn shop, dude. I hated that motherfucker so much because he'd like have this smug look on his face every time I'd come in. He knew I was a junkie, and that's fine. I set something in front of them on the counter. He'd go, how much you expect him to get for it? And I'd throw out some number that I always felt was decent. And the first fucking thing he'd always say, his response was, "Oh, I'm going to make you mad." And I just wanted to be like, I'm going to reach across this table and fucking strangle the shit out of you, you fucking piece of shit. Like, the shakes are going to kick in pretty soon. We need to get this shit moving. You know what I'm saying? All these fucking just like classic records, stuff that you used to be able to like find in bins. All that shit was gone. So like trying to go back through and find all the stuff, it's weird to me, some of the stuff that's become super rare. Another one of those was Regurgitate's Carnivorous Erection.
Oh, fuck.
Why is that so fucking hard to find?
Because of the cover art, probably.
I mean, but still, like, Relapse still made a shitload of them. You know what I mean? It was on Relapse. It wasn't like it was on some obscure... I mean, obviously, Relapse was so much more obscure at that time. But, like, where do they go? There's like some fucking...
To be honest, I think a lot of them get pulped and destroyed. And I worked at a record store, and this was a used place. We bought shit from folks like yourself who would come in, and these guys
in a bad way,
and they're selling someone's collection that does not belong to them, and it's pretty obvious.
I sold a bunch of shit that belonged to other people too, but only after I sold all my own shit.
I had to call the cops on
I had principles.
These folks that were coming in a lowrider and were selling this incredible metal collection. We had to set up a thing for them to come back again to set up a little sting, and I called the cops on them. And then the guy came in whose collection it was, and he had a list, and he was super, like, even more than you, Schuler.
Yeah, it was like me. Like, I showed up and was like, "Do you guys have my stuff? Somebody stole my stuff."
He was like, "Well, I'm looking for this." It was a lot of power metal and thrash metal and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was pretty fucking awesome, actually, that day.
So I just have to pay through the fucking nose for copies of things like this.
It's sad, but it's interesting because in your life it's like a double hard lesson you were taught. Like, not only was your life, you were so down in the dumps at the time, but you also sold your metal collection.
Yeah, man, I sold my soul. Like, I sold my soul, man. That was my.
It's good that you're back, sir. It's good
I'm
that
glad.
You're back.
I'm glad
in the metal, and it's happening. But yeah, now you got to suffer through the consequences of selling that collection.
Well, a byproduct of that, though, is finding out about shit that I wasn't aware of. And the two most recent pieces to join my Impaled collection are these two EPs. And the first one, Choice Cuts, we already talked about just the cover art, but some of the songs on here that didn't end up on full-length records are really fucking good. The Night Soil and Until Death, I feel like Until Death is one of the best songs Impaled ever wrote, man. Like, right before the 2-minute mark, it like changes time and this new riff comes in. It's just so fucking... It's so super groovy. Like there's like a transition in a song, and then it could be another song afterwards, but it still sounds enough like the part that came before it that there's unity and cohesion. It's just so fucking good.
I may be guilty of trying to do that myself here and there in my own shit. And I think it's pretty obvious.
but it sounds good.
I call it the Wake Up Dead. We're right in the middle of the song. Goes, okay. This is a different song now.
I get that reference.
Hey, did you guys what did you think of that Lamb of God? They did that cover recently. You guys didn't see it?
No.
I didn't see it.
Was it like an at-home thing?
Yeah, it was one of those where they seem to be doing it remotely.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Mustaine does backup vocals on it, and Mustaine does all the solos on it. And so they show it's actually pretty badass. Because, like you're saying, the old man's still a pro with Thompson. He still got it. Yeah, I thought it was a pretty decent cover. Like, because Randy is growling half of the vocals.
Yeah,
so that part's kind of funny. And then Dave still comes in to go, Diane. I love that solo that comes out. Yeah, that's one of my favorite songs of all time. So I ripped that off a lot, or tried to.
Speaking of Megadeth, the bonus track on the last Black Dahlia Murder record, or one of the bonus tracks,
Go to Hell.
Was Go to Hell.
Fuck,
and
good.
I enjoyed it. I really liked it. But when I bought the record at first, or when it came in from Europe, I flipped it over and I was like, they covered fucking Carcass. They covered the last track from Swan Song. This is going to be the most.
I love that song too, man.
Dude, that shit fucking rules. I love that entire era.
They were getting pretty Megadethy themselves.
I think so. Yeah, that's how I felt about
that. Yeah.
You know, kind of were bleeding over a little bit, but yeah, shit, man. Your guys' cover of because Go to Hell is one of my favorite Megadeth songs ever. That video just blew my mind as a kid, and it was something that I couldn't find anywhere. You know, it was only available on certain, compilations or whatever.
It was on Bill and Ted, the second movie.
That's fucking right. Yeah, and so that song Forever was just, I loved it. I love how evil it was and everything. So your guys' cover just blew me away. It was so good.
Oh, thanks, man. Like, I was stoked that the guys wanted to do like a deeper cut like that. And something exactly. So obvious. And, Brandon just basically took the reins and like knocked it out. You know what I mean? Like
sounds incredible.
He's got the hands to do it.
Yeah. Even the fucking Marty Friedman solo and shit. That's to imitate Marty Friedman is pretty fucking,
Well, a lot of what Megadeth plays in that era, like you could pick up a guitar and play it, but it's not going to sound like fucking Megadeth without the giant ass balls that they played with. You know what I mean? Like,
to this day, I still practice guitar by playing Take No Prisoners because it's so fucking hard.
That song's mean, dude.
Do you know that song, Schuler?
I don't.
I highly recommend it.
It's breaking my heart over here, buddy.
I know, man. My anti-Megadeth status has clearly fucked me up. Like, maybe I need to rethink some of it. I'm not going to, but maybe I should. What was the song? What was it called?
Take No Prisoners.
Take No Prisoners. I'm writing it down.
Rust in Peace. It's one of the, but so you got to just listen to them as a guitar band, okay? Don't listen to the lyrics. Don't focus on politics or anything. Listen to the goddamn playing. That's it. Just focus on that.
I'll see. I'll try and make myself.
It's Take No Prisoners is almost a death metal song, almost, except for the goofy ass vocals.
I'll check it out.
The song's mean.
Yeah, it's very mean and it's very hard to play, and I still practice with it to this day, and I still can't play it well.
Fucking
20 years or however long it's been.
I feel like this will make a good segment. Trevor, how many of those Slay at Home things did you end up doing? I saw the Cannibal Corpse cover. That shit was fucking sick as shit.
Oh, thanks. That was fun. Just like being with those players was crazy. Fucking Dirk on drums. Yeah. Ra from Suicidal Tendencies on bass.
Yeah.
And the guar guitar player, one of them.
The guy with the mask.
Yeah.
How did that come together?
Pretty much Frank at Metal Injection was like curating that and kind of like teaming people up.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, you want to do a Cannibal Corpse cover? And like,
yeah.
Like something from the Bleeding? I was like, yeah, hello.
Oh yeah,
that shit turned out tight, man. Like it was interesting.
Thanks. It was really fun, yeah.
A lot of bands ended up doing, or like members of bands ended up sort of getting together and doing shit like that.
I did Dead Embryonic Cells with a few people. That came out really cool.
Did you guys do it live?
No, it was all piece by piece.
It's the only way to do it.
Sorry, go ahead.
I did mine in just like one or two takes, basically, like try to keep it as live as I could.
It felt live, man.
I did At the Gates cover too with Frank, Dave from Revocation.
Oh yeah, what
Terminal Spirit Disease.
Yeah, it was really great. Yeah, that got me so pumped up when I saw that. Yeah,
saw that one or not.
That one was cool. We were actually all in the same place for the video.
Oh, cool.
At least we revealed that at the end. That was kind of like the punchline. Yeah, that came out really cool too. We wanted to do an At the Gates song that's like not from Slaughter. You know what I mean? And I love Terminal Spirit Disease, dude. It's so fucking good.
We've talked about that before. Yeah. It's a killer record. You guys covered The Swarm too.
Yeah, that's right. We used to cover that when we didn't have like a whole extensive set list really yet. Yeah. We used to do The Swarm. There's a couple like bootleg recordings of us.
I bet that shit fit perfect though.
Yeah, doing Terminal Spirit Disease was awesome. Really tried to sing like him the best I could.
It was great.
To shriek. That's one of the things that I like about his vocals, man, is that like he sounds like he's hurt. Like that shit.
Yeah.
Every now and then, I like the fucking super rumbly death metal vocals that sound like it's being like delivered to you from this fucking impenetrable, statuesque, like monolith of a person. You know what I mean? But every now and then, I do like hearing some shit where I'm like, man, that fucking hurts. Like every single line.
He does a lot with a little too. Like there's minimal lyrics. They're just placed so perfectly. Like syllabically, it's not super dense.
Yeah.
And it's just so effective, though. You know what I mean? I have a lot of respect for vocalists that know when to shut up because I have no clue.
One of the things about Impaled, I feel like second to Carcass, it is the most like clinical language. Like there's a lot of fucking really, you can tell that they dove into a medical textbook for this. And my question to you guys is, with that style in your own writing, do you do any consultation with like outside materials? Like if either of you guys, like with Anatomist Anonymous or with any Black Dahlia murder song that is about, that's, you know, like How Very Dead. I think there is some.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a Stolen Impaled like lyric in that song actually. The whole doctor is insane thing that they were doing, you know, is in there.
Do you guys? Do either of you guys like consult anywhere?
That song's not super duper medical, but I did kind of consult like the embalming process and stuff like that for it. Yeah, it really feels like Impaled like went for it, you know, where sometimes Carcass maybe like just were kind of wrong in what they did and goofy. You know, they were just pulling stuff from everywhere and they were 15 years old.
They were making up. That's the thing about the thing about Carcass is that the collage aspect doesn't just cover their cover art. You know what I mean? Like it stretches into their lyrics. So like all these different sort of, you know, there's never really a concrete narrative. There's always just these random terms getting interjected, and then like there's, you know, each from one line to the next, it's like I'm doing this thing, it's gross, and then I'm doing this thing, it's gross. It's like first person.
A bit more streamlined later on. Like Necroticism, I feel like has themed songs.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, I'm
the song about
the old
people as a fertilizer. Yes.
I love the one where they're making people into musical instruments. That one.
Yeah, that's funny too.
Carnious Cacophony.
Dude, that song rules.
Carnious Cacophony, you say?
Fucking
you mean like was covered by Impaled?
Oh, you don't say.
Impaled covered Carnious Cacophony, and I work for the Street Cleaner. See, we talk about one band, and that's what I like about this. We dive off into other directions. Patrick Bruss of the Filth Chamber. I saw your name as having remastered, if I'm not mistaken, both of Impetigo's full-length albums that were re-released. Is that correct?
And the accompanying EPs as bonus tracks. That was the first official thing I ever did as a producer.
What was that? So I love shit that sucks. You know, Impetigo, I love the shit. I love their music, but at the same time, the production leaves a little bit to be desired.
Yeah, they're in that autopsy zone of production. Yeah.
What was that job like? Did you have to fucking do a lot of cleaning up or what? Like, what did you do?
I tried to, but I was actually discouraged. Looking back, I'm glad. I was trying to do stuff like, at first I was thinking, guys, you know, get these crazy Mortician length intros from movies that Steve-O clearly taped off the television with like a mono tape recorder. Can I put those on a separate track? Then the song will kick in. They're like, no. They said, well, that's how people know it. And and I was like, no, they're right. It's like a classic horror movie. You don't go in and clean up all the effects and stuff.
You don't go in and fucking Photoshop Hayden Christensen into the fucking scene.
I like how those came out. Like, I thought they were really like.
Thank you, but I really disavow that remastering now. I disavow them in terms of my work.
I think they sound great, man.
I was really pushing them in a kind of loudness war kind of way that I shouldn't have. I overcompressed them. It was also because I just didn't really have good equipment at the time. I didn't have good monitors. I didn't have good headphones. And when I listened to the originals versus my remasters, I was like, I fucked those up. I fucked them up in the same way that Century Media fucked up those recent Rune Magic. It was the same level of problem when I listened back to it. So it's like, fuck, man. But now if you buy, those are only the Razorback.
Razorback,
are the ones I did.
Those are the ones that I have.
They got re-released on tape, but couple of people, but now, you know, if you get them from like Hell's Headbangers or whoever puts them out now on vinyl, those are like the classic full fidelity versions. It's not my version, so I actually recommend you buy that one.
That's Crypticus erasure. I won't have it.
But because of that, I'm friends with Steve-O now. Because of that, I got to do Tombstones. You know, that just led to so many wonderful things, and I'm so proud to have my name involved with those albums. But that's why I'm kind of ashamed that I didn't do a better job on them. I could redo them now and do it so much better. But also, I don't really think they need to be remastered. Yeah, I think they're fun. That taught me a lot.
That must have been exciting for you to like go from like discovering Razorback to like being like involved in
Well, and you know, Impetigo are not like Cannibal Corpse, you know, common name, but they're fucking legendary. So like, getting the opportunity to do
in that corner, especially.
Yeah. Billy from Razorback, he told me, no, I am forming this label under the influence of Impetigo. Like, I'm trying to have a label that is to put out bands like Impetigo and like that kind of stuff. And
nasty shit.
Yeah, exactly. With the, you know, the classic hand-drawn or painted cover art.
Fun shit.
Yeah, bringing back that whole aesthetic. And so, they were a fundamental band for, you know, all the bands we're talking about, you know, all the Goregrind bands.
It goes back to the question about clinical medical language and like whether or not either of you guys, as lyricists who write about these things from time to time, ever do any consulting. So, Patrick, do you open a fucking anatomy book before?
Oh, of course. Crypticus has always, in my opinion, been a half Goregrind band, even though I don't thematically doctor it up enough, I guess, for it to count. But I like the song you mentioned, Anatomist Anonymous, was me like going, okay, I'm going to officially write a Goregrind song, make it as weird and goofy and pretentious, you know, and have you know, synths in it and stuff. And the challenge for me was I had to research like Impaled stuff just to make sure I wasn't stepping on any of their jokes, because I wrote some really dumb punny, like it's a very short amount of lyrics in that song, but I wrote a little punny paragraph of medical puns and shit, you know, as much as I could, and it ended up being about, you know, this evil professor teaching an evil anatomist's class with living subjects, and it's kind of a character like yourself, Schuler.
I was gonna say, and he's bald,
and he has funny little glasses. Man, I wish. That's one of the things that I think is funny about Death After Life. The sketches that they put in there is that they all
love that shit.
They frame themselves as deviant medical students, right? Is that graduate students are too fucking broke and like run down emotionally to do any of this cool shit, like murder a professor and fucking reanimate their corpse. Like, you're too tired, man. Like they.
That's the part that you have to suspend disbelief for.
Yes, that's the part.
I got so inspired by Carcass and Necroticism. This is a death metal band that's being intellectual and bringing on that album, especially the whole kind of gimmick. I think people don't necessarily get this gimmick, but the gimmick of that album is that they were doing classical music, medical Goregrind. I think the classical music part of it, people have gotten lost. When you read the booklet, it's set up like, you know, almost like a program to a piece of classical music. They have names for the solos. They have movements for each song. You know, I love that the solos are named. You know, that's become such an iconic thing.
That's like the OG thing that Impaled and Exhumed would take a lot from. You know what I mean? Like having that theme kind of throughout the record, and like
let's
tongue-in-cheekness.
Let's take a look at some Impaled solo titles. In Dead Inside, we've got Ashes to Ashes, You All Fall Down by Labar. In We Belong Dead, music and lyrics by Mr. Ross Sewage, we've got a solo called The Flesh and the Fiends.
Oh, good title.
Yeah. We got 4 solos in a row later when We Belong Dead. We've got
The Flesh and the Fiends, of course, is a reference to Burke and Hare.
Yes, the Scottish grave guys. So there's some wordplay going on here. I know they're talking about Hippocrates. The second one is called The Doctor Is In. Sane. Then Dead Men Walking, and then Throw the Switch. Yeah, the named solos I think are fucking a blast.
Well, the booklet to this is just so gorgeous.
Yeah, I like the gold.
I love that.
All the gold embossing looking.
I like that record, dude. I like they definitely were going for Symphonies of Sickness production on that one. I feel like, you know, they go to Billy Anderson. Who did that?
Trey Spruance from Mr. Jungle. produced it.
2004 by Trace Spruance and Impaled at Forking Path Studios.
Everything's great except for the drums. Pardon the pun. He bungled the drums. I think it's got a really awesome kind of warm, rich, weird production, but the drums are so there's like no kick drum. There's no. It's just if the drums were mixed like the drums on fucking Mondo Medical, it would have been fucking amazing. But I love the music on. Yeah. It's like I feel like that might be to me my favorite of theirs musically speaking.
No shit.
I think the kind of string sections are kind of
exactly.
in there, kind of
sounds,
ramping up that whole.
It sounds so good, yeah.
Yeah, they got
stuff. I like the pastiche of Reanimator that they did because they even did kind of a pastiche on the Reanimator music. It's all very much sounds like the theme music of Reanimator. Yeah, I love that. All that little production they put into that was very charming.
The voiceover on the intro, Death After Life. How like they had a budget, and you can tell there's a little bit.
Well, remember they had those photos of them when they got signed to Century Media, where Ross is like lighting cigars with $100 bills and shit. We're putting our coffee cups down on an issue of Action Comics #1.
See you fuckers later.
They were hilarious the entire way through, man. Honestly, like I was saying earlier, like Sean and Ross, dude, like they're hilarious, dude.
You will see often on Twitter a trio of interactions between Ross, Sean, and Leon, and it's very pure.
Leon's mad funny too.
Leon's funny as fuck. Yeah.
I've got a funny story about Leon. This was back in the this may have been in the Soulseek days. If you had friends on there, you could browse their files and shit, if they let you. And I was browsing this dude's files and I started seeing all this stuff like exhumed guitar track, exhumed bass track, and it said Trapped Under Ice, drum tracks and all this shit. I was like, what the fuck? And then I looked at the guy's name and it was Del Muerte. And I sent him a private message. I'm like, bro, are you by any chance the same dude who is in Exhumed? He's like, yeah, why? He's like, I think you're sharing the raw tracks from that
Garbage Days re-regurgitated.
That's right. Yeah. It was way before that came out. And I was like, you guys are covering Trapped Under Ice? Like, yeah, don't. It's like, yeah, I'm sorry, man. Yeah, just wanted to tell you.
I'm trying to help you.
Yeah, and I did, and he unshared it, and I don't think anybody else ever saw that, but I thought that was so funny, and I told Ross that story on Twitter a couple of years ago, and he was like, "Fucking Leon."
That's just another accident of technology that I think.
I felt honored though. That was really exciting.
I mean, you can see autopsy videos on YouTube now, which I never watch.
I like medical I don't like gore videos of people or animals suffering. I like medical videos. I like to see like cadaver dissections and stuff like that. I've been to that body museum.
Yeah. Oh, dude. I was you talking about that exhibit, the human body. Both you guys have been to that?
Yeah.
Fuck, I want to see that shit so bad, like with the musculature and everything. Yeah.
Caveat, I went to one of the weird off-brand ones that got shut down. Went there with my girlfriend, and I kept saying, listen, I kept saying to her, this is awesome, but why are all these bodies, they all are Asian? What's going on here?
Oh my God.
And she's like, I don't know. Yeah. This one was called something like Body Visible or something. It was like an off-brand one. And it turned out years later, I heard that there may have been some controversy about some people's corpses ending up in that thing that weren't voluntarily.
Oh my God, dude.
So
that's just some of them were still alive. I don't know how
true that is, but
some of them were twitching a little bit. That's also disturbing.
The guy that was just the nervous system, he was still alive.
There's like two eyes blinking. That shit. See, like I would love to see some shit like that. I have never seen an exhibit like that before, but I think that it would be tight.
Honestly, it's so hard for your brain to compute what you're seeing that you're like, yes, this is a dead body like sliced a certain way, or like this is just the nervous system of a human. Like it's hard to like compute that, dude. Like it's so surreal to be an inch from it. You know
that what I mean? That to me is one of the things that's interesting about the way that we interact with the dead.
I try to embody that same lurid feeling that you get like when you're really face to face with something like that. You know what I mean? Like I think that's anybody who's trying to be horrific in death metal, I think that's their ultimate goal and that's their ultimate bar.
I feel like Impaled, really with the lyrics, like they do, and Trevor, you do this shit too, where like you take this really sort of horrible scenario and you find like the mundane aspects of it to focus on, and that makes it creepier somehow.
The banality of evil.
Yeah, well, sure, that's one way to look at it. Lonely Deceased is an example with like sort of the descriptions of the room and the way that guts look and shit like that. I can definitely do your lyrics better than I can do Impale's, but like that's one of the things that I think sort of helps skirt that line like you're talking about, right? If you only sort of focus on like the horror and the outlandish parts of the lyrics, you can tell an interesting story, right? And it can be gory and it can be gross and it can be brutal. But like when you start incorporating these little innocuous details that everybody is familiar with, like the way skin feels beneath your fingertips, the way a cold concrete slab feels beneath your body. Speaking of Impaled lyrics, one of the things that I like to do with death metal bands who write about gore is go through their songs and look at the point of view. I'm always curious about whether or not a band, especially a band who like this is sort of their bread and butter, right? Ross in particular writes songs. Ross makes a very good dead body point of view. Like he, what is it? Back Into the Grave, I think, is one that he wrote. I find myself looking for lyricists who talk about having things done to their bodies as opposed to just talking about
Right.
doing things to the bodies of others.
Yeah,
And
big difference.
Yeah, Ross wrote the lyrics for Back to the Grave, and that is from the standpoint of somebody who's being romanced within their heavenly eternal resting place. The detail,
That's
I think,
hilarious.
is really
That's
interesting.
awesome.
Yeah, I know. Like, I think it's pretty. I think it's cool, and I think it's sort of a novel approach to take with, not to say that it's been done. You know what I mean? I'm not going to sit here and say all of the interesting places that we can go with the style of music have been reached or whatever, because I don't think that's true at all. But you do have to realize that like all of these bands that do this now, you can trace that lineage back to like one place, right? You've got that Carcass blueprint that was set up as far as the medical aspects of the lyrics.
If I may, I think Carcass did something even further than just the medical, beyond just the medical aspects. Something that they're pioneers of is discussing gross topics in a sophisticated, just a professorally way of approaching gore and nastiness, which is the direct opposite of like a Chris Barnes, and that was hugely influential to me. Like, again, bringing the classical music pretension to gore and horror. I love that.
They scared me, bro. Like the very first exposure to Carcass was Tools of the Trade, and just like real gore on the back of it, and like you were saying, the kind of professorally kind of informed perspective. Like it hit me so hard because it wasn't like fantastic.
It was more. It seemed to me like what these guys are like weird professionals getting together to discuss something.
Right. It seemed like it had a reality to it.
Those weird samples too.
Right.
Like,
right.
Who
From
is
like in the morgue and stuff.
Yeah. It thinks awfully. Like it's just like British guys talking about a lot of it. I can't understand. I've never been able to make out.
I know the origin of some of those samples.
Really?
Protestant. Yeah. One of them, the one where he's like, the Latter-day Saints of our time. Wish to attribute to me motives that simply aren't there and which I simply do not have.
That's why I find it so amusing that the Latter-day Saints of our business, one, attribute to me motives that just weren't there, and two, accuse me of corrupting morality, which I wish I had the power to do. But that's how Blood Feast came to be.
Prepare to Die. That is director H.G. Lewis, the guy who directed Blood Feast, and it's from a documentary. And he's talking about people trying to attribute guilt to him because he made gore movies. It sounds like a doctor speaking, doesn't it? Like,
yes, it does. That's what I thought all that shit was.
He's a gore doctor, but that's it. Yeah, but then other ones are actually samples from a forensic documentary that I've seen parts of. And
I wonder if we could get an actual doctor on here to talk about like gore terms. I know a guy who'd do it. The heart surgeon guy.
Yeah, I was gonna say our buddy.
Yeah, that dude's cool.
Yeah, he's.
They say he's the most metal heart surgeon.
That's indeed true. That's what I've heard. Shout out.
He works upon me.
Yeah, I don't want either any of us to ever have to.
Oh, come on. You know the shit's going down.
Oh, it's coming.
It's
coming, baby.
I would rather have the balloon. Where they fucking put a balloon in through your neck or whatever and then go through. I don't want the open heart surgery. It's just
no, they don't do open heart anymore unless there's something seriously wrong with you. They go through the little holes in the tube.
Go through your butthole.
Yeah,
go
right
through your
butt.
Go up through your butt to your heart.
Go up through your pee hole.
It's the most direct route.
That's what they say. To a man's heart, you know.
The best way to mail a man's heart is through the pee hole.
Yes. Are you writing that down? Write that down.
I totally forgot where I was going to go.
Yeah, you're leading the ship here.
I'm too busy thinking about pee holes. I am not.
I gotta go empty my pee hole right now. Can I get a break here for a second?
Yeah. Sure. Go empty the pee hole.
Not to be too overly medical with my terminology.
Yeah, we'll try and find a place that we can. We'll try and find a new pathway to take.
I think Pat's got some stones.
Wonder if he's having a hard time passing. Dude, when I was in 6th grade, my gym teacher passed a kidney stone in the bathroom while we were in gym class, and we could hear him in there screaming. And it was one of the most traumatic events of my life. Like, I remember thinking,
did you hear the stone hit the porcelain tube?
Oh God, if only. Like, it sounds like a fucking tooth coming out of there. Like, fucking
tink.
No, I did not hear that part, but like the screams of one of the toughest, like, it's, fucking high school football.
Gym teachers are
shit,
tough.
You know what I mean? They're tough motherfuckers, and you hear this guy just like falling apart. Dude, I was terrified of that shit. And my mom had kidney stones a couple of years later, and she had to like pee into a strainer.
Remember when Impaled's album got leaked? Now that they leaked it. Oh boy! This would have been the. I want to say it was Death After Life.
I think so too. Yeah.
And that was my first one, but I wasn't a fan when it came out.
It got leaked, and when you downloaded it, not to say that I did, but I did. And when you listen to the files, the song would start, and then Ross and Sean and whoever would come in, acting like pirates. Go, arr!
I forgot about
their
that.
song. Arr, what's going on here?
Pirates.
Arr, if you want to get our album, you must buy it from Century Media. You scurvy bastard! It was fucking hilarious, and it trolled the entire fucking metal community.
You got to run down that audio for the podcast, man.
But get the detail. They did, each one was the exact length of the real songs and labeled correctly and everything. But then when you listen to it, it's just it would be the full song, but the audio would dip out and would be them.
Just so much work. Imagine.
Really funny.
So, to wind it down, right? I went the extra step this week, man. Instead of just being like, where would you start with Impaled? I made an entire Impaled best of CDR. I took that 80-minute window and I said to myself, what is the best possible way we can come up with one disc of all of Impaled shit that rules, just to make it compact and portable and give it to somebody else? So as you can see, we're starting off with Death After Life. I feel like if you want the full Impaled experience, you've got to get that intro track, Goregrind, from Death After Life, which has got the talking and the, like you said, the Reanimator music, and then it goes straight into that second track, Mondo Medical, which is super cool. After that, Raise the Stakes. You've got to have Raise the Stakes toward the beginning of any Impaled set, or if it's a live set, they have to close with it. There's no middle ground for this one, right? There's a certain point in a set when a song usually has to come, and you've got to have that either towards the beginning or at the very, very end. Got some stuff from Dementia Rex on there. Some of those Dementia Rex songs from that split with Hemorrhage are like some of the catchiest shit that they ever did. That song, Psychosurgery, I think is super tight, super catchy. Another one of my favorite, most catchy songs by them is Dawn of the Dread. That one's super catchy. It's like really melodic. I get more melodic towards the middle of the list, and then we kick in again with some Dead Still Dead Remain. All of the versions of songs from the first album, I have gone with the re-recorded versions just because I feel like they...
Oh, yeah.
So I hope that you enjoy, person who's watching, person who's listening. But these are my Impaled songs that I feel like you should put onto a full CD. I think it will benefit your life. I think that you need to have the means by which to play a CD, the means by which to burn a CD, buy all those things, track these songs down, and go listen to death metal and be happy.
Let's do another full episode right now, fellas. Start again.
Start from zero.
All right, here we go. And cut. Start again. All right.
Sweet.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Good to see you,
love you.
Love you, bros. You guys
this
are my
is the
bros.
most positive relationship in my life, guys. Thank you. Thank you. I love you both.
It is, dude. Three dudes
we always love each other
love
so
death
much.
metal. All
I'm
right.
going to go listen to Death After Life, I think.
I think I'm going to listen to another Impaled album right now as well. It's going to be a grody evening.
Yep.
All right,
fellas.
Peace out,
Signing
boys.
off, guys.
See you next time.
love.
Signing off. Crypticus signing off.
And with the skull cap removed, I have placed the needles and tubing directly into the adrenal glands located at the brain's posterior.
Thank you, Dr. Sewage. And as you can all see, according to the EEG monitor, our patient has arrived at a state of consciousness. He should, with perfect clarity of sense, soon become aware of his situation. His brain waves will begin to peak as he comes to understand what it means to be a volunteer here at St. Julian's. Now, Dr. Varela will explain the reagent.